What is going on, everyone? Welcome to today's aftermarket trade recap. Just gonna jump into it real quick, but before I do, just gonna quickly mention that I did upload the day in the life or the Florida trip video that I had taken. So that video is up before this one. So yeah, just getting into it today. Just one trade on the day. It was a break-even trade, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because I was in it. Oh, I'm just moving the camera a little bit. I was in the position for a while, and it looked like it was gonna work out, but I'll kind of also go over why in the beginning I didn't necessarily. I don't know. You'll see what I mean. But anyways, jumping into it, in the morning I didn't take anything. There was a setup that I wasn't on the charts for when it happened, but we pretty much sweep this low. Had an SMT. I don't know if it was within inside anything. I'm like lost now. Oh, here. AM. Yeah, I mean, well, technically, I guess, yeah, in this like 4 hour, I guess, but that's pretty far back. But anyways, that was kind of the only thing, and then there was an inversion that I could have taken to the upside, targeting either AM session high or if I was feeling it, London high. But anyways, that is not what I had taken, so that doesn't matter. Now jumping into the PM session, this is what I had taken. So for the past couple weeks now, I've been pretty like confident, or I wouldn't say like confident, but like pretty just being able to jump into the charts, realize, what's going on. And for the most part, exactly what I want to see happens, like the bias. But if, like I know last week, I think it was like on Wednesday or whatever, I kind of, I always set criteria. If this happens, then I'll do this. If this doesn't happen, then, so on. And pretty much, yeah, like, if I'm trying to see something hold, such as discount of a range, 4 hour, 1 hour prevailing gap, whatever. If it holds, I'll continue over to that bias or narrative. But if it does not, then I'll have to see, whatever's I wanted to see hold get disrespected. And then once I start to see it get disrespected, a little more like structure on the lower time frames to confirm that, now we're switching directions. So as for today, I didn't really see that too much. I kind of did. So pretty much with today, it's just I noticed that we had swept London and Asian, or actually it was just London session during lunch. And, I know that we kind of had to, we reach into equilibrium of this range. So yeah, I kind of had that. That wasn't like my primary focus for today though, but we did end up doing that. And I was wanting to see, this is where, the trade, why I say it probably wasn't the best. And, it is kind of like a good thing, or I guess lucky in a sense that I got break even. But, we were holding this 1 hour, and that's what I wanted to see. And then once the 12 p.m. candle closed, we technically didn't inverse. Yeah, we did not inverse it. So, we were holding it. So that was kind of like my things wanting to see longs. But it was just on the lower time frame. It didn't necessarily look like we were wanting to hold, and it was again, it was kind of like I was saying, a contradiction of the self of like, this is where like the higher time frame is kind of showing like higher, and the lower time frame is showing lower in a sense though. I don't know. I don't want to get you guys too confused. It was kind of a confusing day, but anyways, there was a point where I just was kind of convinced on going short. However, why I actually don't really like the trade that I had taken on the day, and it's, I've taken trades like this in the past, and for the most part, they do end up in break even positions because I'm pretty confident. But it's still the fact that I'm putting risk on the table, and even though like I'm confident, like, let's say 90%, 95%, there's still that 5% chance that the trade cannot go break even and it ends up in a loss, and it was just unnecessary risk put on the table. And that's kind of how it was today. Like, as you guys can see, I entered the position here on this candle once the it came back and filled my limit order. And because you can see pretty much down here, it was my break even point. Candle close, it's too far of a close after the inversion, so I needed to retrace back up. I'll kind of actually just play it out. So candle close, and then we get that inversion back up. Obviously my limit order was set to here where the thing is, but then if I just drop down the lower time frame real quick, yeah, I got filled. It was also nice that we left equal lows, so that gave me even like more kind of guarantee of at least a break even. But it's still the fact that if I let this kind of play out a little bit, like, I was pretty much almost stopped out, just about like 10 points away before the position ended up, going in my favor. And before I even taken this position, I was realizing, like, yeah, this could be a break even trade at best. And then this was my take profit, but I wasn't super confident in price, eventually reaching this point. I was just like, it's kind of like a trade I can at least, think it's going to hit break even. And if the trade works out, works out. But that doesn't really make too much sense, obviously, in the sense that I'm putting risk on the table to basically be like, okay, well, I'm confident I'm going to get break even, but at least break even, but I'm not very confident my final take profit's going to get hit. So it's kind of something that I just realized today, and it's something I'm going to try to avoid in the future because, it's just, again, unnecessary risk if I don't think my full take profit's going to get hit. But anyways, yeah, so I mean, it was kind of to a point though where it looked like right about here there was probably going to be hitting that final take profit, but then price started to react kind of weird, and that was another thing I noticed too. We did end up actually inversing this this 1 hour, but then also too, we had of course a 15-minute that we were holding, and that also did not get inversed. I'm trying to think. Yeah, the 1 hour did get inverse, but then on the 15-minute, it was still holding down here in this large range. And then, of course, it was just 2 p.m. open. 2 p.m. opened up lower and then high and then close. And that's just what ended up stopping me out at break even there. And then I did also forget to mention, too, earlier, uh, before I got stopped out, or sorry, not before I got stopped out, but when it looked like I was about to get stopped out, we were holding a 5 minute and a 5 minute OB. So that was kind of like, more things to keep us lower. And what I was thinking about today too is that if we would have closed above this OB in this 5 minute is probably when I would have closed. Just something I kind of want to mention. Usually I wouldn't, but just the fact that we have two 5 minute confluences back to back, and if they don't hold, then it's kind of just, like, okay, it's for me to, risk about like what 13 more points or something like that. Like, it's just unnecessary in my eyes. But that was kind of something I was thinking. But yeah, the whole premises of today is it's not necessarily the entry, although I said it like price was contradictory today. That's not really the worst thing. There's times where price is like that, and I can't say for sure if it's, the right narrative or the not, because it's just at the end of the day, it's whatever I'm most confident with from personal experience as well as, my edge. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But as for the trade itself today, just like I said, it's more so the fact that I was confident in it becoming a break even trade. And again, it almost didn't. But I wasn't super confident on the final take profit, and it's just no point to really take trades like that. So, yeah, at least for a little bit. Again, sometimes it can work out. Like this could have worked out, and but I still would say the same thing. That's literally what I was thinking while in the position, but it just as of recently, I feel like I've taken a lot of positions like that, and they do end up getting stopped at break even. And it's just like, okay, I'm putting unnecessary risk on the table, and that could start to add to losses. And you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. So that is pretty much it for today. I know I kind of mentioned the same thing multiple times, but it's really important, at least for me, to ingrain it into myself, and just to hope you guys realize the kind of mistake that I made there today. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Still got a full week ahead, and hopefully I can have this evaluation account pass, and then I'll have two express accounts on Top Step. So yeah, I'll see you guys, maybe tomorrow, sometime this week. I don't know. See you then. Peace.